David, where do you want to start? We talk about Mark Carney visiting Europe?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We could talk about the Red Sox taking 3 out of 4 from the Yankees.
I'm sorry,
also.
I can't hear you. Can you turn up his volume? I can't hear David right off the beginning. He said Europe? Is that what he said? Yeah.
Yeah, that's
sure.
what I said.
What's that?
Yeah,
no.
Europe.
No,
Fine,
I'm
that's
sorry.
fine.
I thought I said that. Yes, the Yankees did beat the Red Sox yesterday, but we can
3 out
move
of 4.
on. We can
3 out
move
of
on.
4.
That was
3 out of
yesterday.
4. The Sox did win. Yeah.
All right, David.
Yeah.
So,
moving on.
Mark Carney runs the table in Europe. He started off in Ukraine. Look, I want to touch on the first thing here, which is, and I think this is the thing that caught people perhaps a bit by surprise. Tell me what you think. This mentioned by Mark Carney when he was talking about Ukraine and Independence Day and Canada's commitment to Ukraine and to Volodymyr Zelensky, and said has not ruled out the idea of Canadian troops in Ukraine, where we have the U.S. has said they won't, Poland has said they won't. What did you make of that?
Well, what I mean, we have to, I think, go back a bit and put this in context. Remember last Monday, Canada was not around the table at the White House with all the European leaders, meeting with the president following the Anchorage summit between President Trump and President Putin. And coming out of that meeting in Washington, the European leaders, Macron, Starmer, the whole gang, we're saying, well, look, the next step is a trilateral meeting, and one of the items on the agenda is going to have to be security. How do we ensure security? And there are 27 ways to do that, and that means some sort of peacekeeping force. Now, since then, as you said, President Trump has put this out off the table, and also yesterday, I don't know if you saw this on Meet the Press on NBC. You had Russia's foreign minister, Lavrov, saying, well, before getting to a trilateral meeting or a Putin-Zelensky meeting, we have to agree on an agenda, and we're not even exchanging agendas yet. So we're not even close to talking about this. So I really think that for Prime Minister Carney, this was trying to show that Canada was relevant, trying to show that Canada matters, trying to show that Canada is a player in all this and is willing to be very much at the forefront of any effort that leads to peace. But we're far, far, far removed from that. And also, I have to say something. I think this is calculated in terms of the upcoming budget. As you know, we still don't have a budget for 25-26, and we don't have a date yet, but it seems that it's going to be in October. But Carney has already said very clearly that we are going to spend massively on defense. So I think when you see this trip, when you see this type of statement being made where nobody else is really talking about boots on the ground seriously in the alliance, what I think also what Mark Carney is saying, well, see, because let's say we had to deploy tomorrow, Aaron. We don't have the wherewithal to do it. Seriously. We have 2,000 boots on the ground in Latvia, but that's it. And it's not like we're ready for a massive deployment of peacekeeping forces. So I think this is more about preparing ourselves for a very important budget spend this fall on defense, and at a time where, and we can dovetail into trade here, is that all the economic indicators right now are in the red. I mean, inflation is down because oil prices are down, but as you mentioned, food prices are up, hence what happened with the tariffs. I think the decision to back down on the tariffs. Anything having to do with cost of living issues are doing very, very poorly. Same thing with the indicators with economic development or unemployment. So the honeymoon is still going on because Carney has no opposition to speak of. And, in Europe, he likes going to Europe. He's known in Europe. He's got connections in Europe. And it's very nice to talk about trade in Europe. But that's going to take years to transform our economy in a way where we get significant economic advantages from transferring, some trade from the U.S. to the rest of the world. So I really think this is more about positioning himself for what's coming up in the next few months economically at home.
So can I play the cynic for a second? I realize this is
Please.
kind of crazy, but you don't think that, I mean, this trip, as you said, it's not like you're going to flip a switch and suddenly Europe becomes our new trading partner, right?
Not at all.
Is this kind of a get out of Dodge after the announcement of retaliation, tariffs disappearing and just, you know what, don't want to answer questions a lot about this and off you go?
I think it's about setting up, himself as a leader. He's remember when he became prime minister, he scored a lot of points by going to Europe, by showing he's a world leader, and it's part of his persona. It's part also of what he really knows. He's very comfortable in Europe. Former Bank of England governor, of course,
yep.
and his network is very strong in Europe. And the thing is, I think it's also about showing that Canada is still relevant. Let's face it. Didn't you ask yourself a bit of a question when you saw all these European leaders around Donald Trump in Washington last Monday and Canada wasn't there? Canada has always been in the room. Justin Trudeau had been in Europe at summits with European leaders about Ukraine. And so I think there's part of that. But it's also, I think it's about propping himself up because now he's going to have, in a few weeks, he's going to be back in the Commons.
Yeah.
He's going to have Poilievre across the Commons from him. He's going to have to answer to the major concerns that most Canadians have, which is cost of living. Things are not looking up. All the indicators, as I said, are red. He's going to have to start talking about domestic issues. So I think this is about scoring political points, but also preparing us for the fact that we're going to spend huge amounts of money on defense. And I think that's part of reinforcing that commitment.
Okay, let me move it closer to home. A couple of stories, of course, over the past couple of days. One, you had Valérie Plante coming out and saying that because of the construction that's going to be happening for the next 8 years on Dr. Penfield, that will mean a delay in the closing of Camille Hood, followed by a day or two later, Luc Rabouin, who's running, of course, for the same party, but to replace Valérie Plante as the new mayor, said, oh, yeah, he's going to put a bit of a hold on this. It's not a priority. And I just thought, how very convenient, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think it's just you. It'll be two of us. They're going to be very cynical. Well, what Projet Montréal is doing right now is taking a page, actually, out of the Carney book, which is just before an election, get rid of everything that's basically unpopular. Rabouin back in the spring, remember, he postponed the work on St. Catherine Street because, apparently, he came finally to a deal after saying, no, we have to do this. And Mayor Plante saying, no, we have to do this till 2031. No, we're going to sit down and finally listen to the business owners on St. Catherine's, and we're going to take a break and postpone and consult, something that was never done before. So I think what you're seeing, like the garbage, it's in Hochelaga Maisonneuve. This is a key borough for Projet Montréal. So they want to make sure that that's going to be taken care of for the election, that does not come back to haunt them. Same thing for Camillien Hood. Camillien Hood, ultimately, if you look at it from an electoral map perspective for Projet Montréal, it's Côte-des-Neiges and DG, right? And so that's the connection. That's the connector to the rest of the city. And so Côte-des-Neiges and DG, which is right now held by Projet Montréal, is going to be very competitive. This is the largest borough of all 19 boroughs in Montreal. So if you're going to win the mayor's, not only the mayor's race, but control of city council, that's another key borough for Projet Montréal. So what you're seeing here is the campaign officially begins September 19th. You're seeing surgical strikes here from Projet Montréal, trying to get rid of all these little issues that could be a negative for them in the upcoming campaign. But Mark Carney did the same thing on immigration, on capital gains taxes. Remember, he did all that before he got to the actual election campaign last April.
But am I too cynical? And I look at people and say, you realize this is all happening like 3 months before an election. It's been 4 years, actually 7, almost 8 years for this party. And only now they're starting to address these things?
Well, yeah, because, and I heard Chase Manny, look, they're doing polling. Yes, it is cynical, but that's electoral politics. I mean, you're talking about, look, in 2021, 35% of eligible voters voted in the Montreal election. This is right now. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of excitement. This may change, but it's not like you're hearing about these campaigns really generating a lot of excitement.
Yeah.
This is going to be organizations, everybody getting your vote out. And I think what Projet Montréal is doing right now is getting rid of negative issues as much as they can that will generate turnout for them.
All right, I have to wrap up, David. Can I ask you just one question?
Sure.
Why did you decide not to run for mayor?
It was a myriad of factors that I'm sure we could discuss at length, but overall, for me, it's just for health reasons, for different also considerations. I looked at it. I spoke to a lot of people. A lot of people spoke with me. It just wasn't the right time for me and the right thing to do in my life at that time.
Which doesn't rule out perhaps at another time it may be the right thing. Is that what you're saying?
Well, politics.
Right.
I love politics.
Okay.
I love what I'm doing right now. No, of course,
Okay.
I could never 100% say I'll never run again for any type of political office. But right now,
Okay.
it's just, there were a lot of conversations. I was flattered. I was touched by the level of the number of people that contacted me, the conversations. But again, like I said, I had to look at it from a health perspective, different types of issues as well as my life, the type of life I have right now, and different also considerations. And so I came to the difficult conclusion, but still that it wasn't the right time for me.
David, I appreciate you being a good sport about it. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good
weekend.
Have a great week. Good luck to the Red Sox.